Bright QT. Every student matters.
Good morning. Today I will be taking up topic number 2 of chapter 7, that is interest. What is actually interest? Now, interest is something in simple terms you might have heard many times people express that I am interested in this. I'm not interested in this. I am very interested in, let's say, sports. I'm not so much interested in academics. So everybody has their own set of interests, and also there is a range of interest, which means you may be very highly interested in one thing, you may be lesser interested in something else, and there exists a lot of individual differences in these different areas of interests. People differ in their areas of interest because of various factors, because of their background, because of their culture, because of their education qualifications, because of their upbringing, etc. So there are a lot of factors which basically determine what are the different areas of interest you will eventually have. Now, these areas of interest, this is like could be towards a particular object. I am interested in, let's say, a particular object which helps me to play because I am a person who is interested in sports. I may be interested in, a particular set of ideas, let's say political ideas, let's say, Marxian ideology. I may be interested in, religion and a particular ideology under it. I may be interested towards a particular person. I may be totally disinterested when it comes to a particular person. I may be interested in one particular activity. Let's say, there are people who share that we are interested in gardening. There are people who share that we are interested in cooking and so on. So whether you are interested in a particular thing or a person or an idea or an activity, that's something which is totally individualistic, and it varies from one person to another person, and also your interest over a period of time change. They may change to a very great extent in some individuals, they may change to a relatively lesser extent in some individuals. So that is something which is not fixed at all. Okay, moving on ahead. Okay, now this is a definition which is given by Crow and Crow. 1 second. They say that interest may refer to the motivating force which impels us to attend to a person. So it's very important to understand that interest is a motivating force. It motivates you to do something. It pushes you to, go near to something. You might have heard it many times, that I am interested in sports, therefore I participated in a particular sports competition. I'm interested in baking, so I bought these baking products and baking books. So when you are interested in something, you are motivated towards that thing, or it could be towards a particular person or towards a particular activity. In other words, we can say that interest can be the cause of an activity, which means, just the way I gave you an example, that, let's say you participated in a sports competition. So that is an activity that you did. And what was the cause of that activity? Your interest in sports. So we can say that it is the cause of an activity and the result of participation in the activity. Both things are possible. Because you are interested in something, therefore you participated in something, or you engaged in a particular activity, or because you participated in a particular activity, therefore you developed interest in it. Which means that as of now, let's say you were not interested in baking, cooking, etc., but just because your friend wanted that you accompany him or her in a particular a workshop related to cooking, etc., you did it. Now once you attended that, once you participated in that particular activity, your interest in cooking and baking developed. So it can be both ways. It may be the cause of an activity, or it may be the result of participation in the activity. Keep going forward. There are a couple of other definitions. One definition is given by Ross. He says that a thing that interests us is just something that concerns us or matters to us. Now this is, self-explanatory. When you are interested in something, you are obviously concerned about it. I can give you an example of, like, let's say there is a student who is very much interested in, sports, etc. So he's always concerned, he's always looking out, like, where is this particular competition happening, or where I can buy products at a, slightly relatively cheaper rate. So he's concerned about that. He is wanting that, his teacher selects him for a particular competition. So if you are interested in something, you are concerned about it. You are affected by it, and it matters to you whether you won that competition or not, whether you got an opportunity to participate in it or not. All these things, because you are interested in it, therefore they matter to you. Okay. Bhatia says that interest means making a difference. That something or someone or some particular ideology makes a difference to you. So we are interested in objects because they make a difference to us, because they concern us in one way or in another way. Okay. Right, moving to the next subtopic that we have, which is about nature and characteristics of interests. So let's take them up one by one. Our interest is very much linked with our wants, our motives, our drives, and our needs. We are interested in something because we want it. We have always wanted it. We are interested in studying. Why? Because we wanted to be a civil service aspirant. Let's say, I'm just giving you an example. We are motivated towards something because we are interested in it. So it gives you a push, it gives you a motivation, intrinsic motivation that is naturally interested in it. Could be an extrinsic motivation that, some external factor is there. Let's say, there is an employee who is interested in performing very well. Why? Because he is extrinsically motivated towards it. This extrinsic motivation could be because he is, on the lookout for rewards, for some kind of trophies, appreciation, right? So you have a motive towards it, some drive, which, pushes you towards doing that particular activity, or maybe some need that you have. You're interested in manning. Why? Because you have a basic need, basic sexual desire, basic need, a need to reproduce, a need to have kids, etc. Second is, interest is a great motivating or effective behavior. Motivating, we've understood that, we've discussed that till now in the previous slides also. Whenever there is interest, you will be motivated to perform in a particular manner. Or effective behavior. Effective refers to emotion. So, emotionally also you are always interested in something. When you're doing something, you are interested in something, you're also having some kind of emotional connection with that, right? Third is interest and attention. They are closely related to each other, which means that if you're interested in something, you will, certainly attend to it. If you're interested in studies, you will attend to the lecture which is given by the teacher. If you're interested in sports, you will be attentive when it comes to, look out of some kind of sports competition happening around. So interest and attention, they are very closely linked to one another. McDougall says that interest is latent attention. By this particular definition, he basically implies that whenever you are, interested in something, there is a close connection with attention. And whenever you are attending to something, there is a hidden interest in it. You cannot be actually attending something till you are not interested in it. So if I'm listening to, maybe a psychological lecture or psychological counseling session or a workshop which is on psychology, I am attending to it, very deeply, because I am interested in the way this particular person is doing his workshop. I am interested in this particular subject of, let's say, counseling or psychology. So if you're attending to something, then there is a base to it. There is a hidden interest in it, right? Let's move forward. Fourth, interests are innate as well as acquired dispositions. So they are both. You are naturally, by birth, you are interested in some things. By birth, there are some children who are very much interested in socially connecting with other people, while there are some children who are, interested in being by their own selves, spending time with their own selves. Some children are by birth interested in, cooking, baking. Some children are interested in gardening, right, or even modeling. So there are different interests which people have since birth. Some interests are acquired over a period of time. So as you grow older, you tend to acquire them. So they are both. Next is interest is the personal meaning that a thing has for us. Interested in a thing, we interpret everything in line with that interest. So if we are interested, let's say, in a particular person, we interpret everything which is happening related to that person based on the interest that we have in him. For example, if we are interested in a person, we have, a soft corner for that person. We appreciate that person, let's say, or we respect that person, right? So what is going to happen is that anything or everything that that person does, we are going to interpret it in that particular line of interest that we have, because we are interested in him. So we are going to be a little lenient when he's going to, do some kind of mistake, or if he's rude to us in some manner, if he's disrespectful to us in some manner, we'll be a little lenient with him. Why? Because we are going to interpret every action of his or every comment or remark that he makes in line with our own personal interest, that we are interested in him as a person. Sixth is pursuit of one's interest is always satisfying. So whenever you're interested in something, you keep some short-term and long-term goals, and you're always trying to move ahead in this journey that you have made for your own self. And when you do that, when you're pursuing this particular interest of yours, it's always a very satisfying kind of an experience. It gives you relaxation, it gives you contentment, a feeling of achievement also at the same time. Okay. Seventh point, interest helps in overcoming unusual or early arrival of or frequent repetition of plateaus in learning. So you might have heard this term that, my plateau of learning has arrived. I cannot, learn beyond that. So as much as I had to learn of this topic, I've learned. Beyond that, nothing is going to enter in my mind. I cannot understand this particular concept in a more detailed manner. I am exhausted. So my plateau of learning has come. So what is, it's going to make a difference is that when a person is interested in something, that actually prevents this plateau from coming. This interest gives you sufficient strength so that you resist fatigue and you avoid failure. You resist mental fatigue. Very frequently students say that enough, now I cannot study this particular topic anymore. But if you're interested in it, eventually you will resist mental fatigue. Eventually you will avoid failure also. So if you are interested in maths and you're trying sums and you're not able to solve them properly, you're not getting the correct response, right, the correct answer, but you're interested in mathematics, you're interested in mathematical operations. So even if you failed once, you failed twice, still you will persist with it because of the interest. So in simple terms, interest helps you in overcoming the unusual or the early arrival of repetition of plateaus in learning. So it gives you a push to sustain. It gives you a push to go beyond something and, try harder. Next is interests and attitudes. Although they have a close similarity, but they are yet different. How are they similar? They are similar on the ground that both represent mental readiness or preparation for something. Mental readiness or preparation in what manner? If you're interested towards something, you will approach that thing. At the same point of time, if you have a positive attitude towards something, you will approach that thing. On the other hand, if you are disinterested in something, you will tend to avoid it. And if you have a negative attitude towards something, you will tend to avoid it. So kind of they go hand in hand. So they have a similarity, that's correct. But yet there is a distinction between these two, which we will look at. Attitudes may orient an individual either favorably or unfavorably towards something. Now, this something could be a particular object, it could be a particular place. You have a positive attitude towards, towards a particular city or a country, or maybe a place of worship, etc. This attitude could also be towards a particular ideology, right? But this attitude that you possess is generally, in comparison to interest, passive in nature, which implies that if a person has certain attitudes towards something, he may have a favorable or a positive attitude towards a particular thing, yet he may not do anything about it. That is why we say that there is a slight distinction between attitude and interest. Both of them, although they are preparing you for something, they are pushing you towards something, that's correct. But at the same time, attitudes are relatively passive in nature. You may have a favorable or a positive attitude towards something, towards a person, towards a place, etc., but you still may not do anything about it. On the other hand, usually when you're interested in something, you do something about it. You put efforts to go closer to it, to achieve that, right? That's the major difference between these two. Now, when it comes to the exercise which was given at the end of the chapter, you will see that there are certain long answer questions which are given. The fifth question says, what is the difference between interest and attitude? So this particular question you will be able to answer based on what I've just discussed with you. Let's move forward. Okay. So continuing with the same subtopic, that is nature and characteristics of interest. The next point is that interests are not permanent and fixed, which means they keep evolving, they keep getting revised, they keep getting modified as you grow older. So what is going to happen is, because of your maturation over a period of time, as you are developing, development is happening on various spheres. Cognitive development, which means that the way you perceive things, that is getting improvised. Your intelligence is increasing, your social abilities are increasing, your this what you call abilities when it comes to connect with other people, they are increasing. Different kinds of abilities are increasing. Learning is increasing. Till now you had studied only till the 5th class. 6th class onwards, new subjects are getting introduced, new areas are opening for you, new options are opening for you. You get to know more about different subjects, you get to know about different occupations which can you can possibly take, different vocations that you can opt. And also there are a lot of internal as well as external meaning thereby environmental conditions and factors which will eventually have an impact on your interest, right? What happens is, over a period of time, when you explore new subjects, you do different courses, you attend different workshops, you attend different seminars, you also interact with different kinds of people. Till now you were studying in school, so small area, a small social group you had. Now you go to maybe a different city and you're doing your higher studies over there. You interact with people from various backgrounds. You interact with people from different cultures, from different ethnicities, different race, different castes, different gender. And over a period of time, as you're growing, self-realization is also increasing. You are introspecting, you are doing self-talk, you are understanding what is the meaning of life, what you actually as a person want from life. So your basic wants, your desires are becoming more clear to you. When you're becoming an adolescent, your identity, we talk about identity and identity confusion, and we relate it to the period of adolescence. So your identity is becoming clearer to you as you're growing older. Your weaknesses Your strengths are becoming, more clearer to you as you're growing older and aging, right? You get to know that, I am weak in a particular area, so I should be probably avoiding this particular vocation. I am very good in something else, so I should be, moving towards that direction and maybe eventually take it up as a profession. Then if you are, let's say, migrating, immigration, if you're moving to some other country altogether, there is a change in culture altogether. You explore their culture also, you get to know about their ideas, their way of living, your interests evolve, your interests change. Attention also, what you have been attending till now, that is also going to determine your interest. Let's say, till now you have never studied a particular course. Suddenly you attend a free lecture of that course, you attend to it, and then interest starts developing in it. For example, I know of a case where there was a student who never wanted to study psychology. She wanted to opt for something else, and that some paper that she was very much interested in, that is journalism. She could not get admission in it because she was having lower grades as compared to the requirements which was of that particular journalism course. So, she was very disheartened. She had to opt for psychology, but she was very unhappy about it. Now, when she started studying psychology, once she started, buying books, reading books, attending lectures, I'm repeating this word, please, attending lectures, putting her focus on that, she understood what the subject was about. And she actually made a profession out of this. So something that she was so surprised at, when she discusses that with me, she says that she had never thought that she will opt and take psychology as a vocation, but she actually took it. So it's also about what you attend, when you attend in your life. Now, there is a short answer question given at the back of your book. When your chapter ends, there is this exercise which is given. You have this short answer question, question number 3, which is, why are interests not permanent and fixed? So if you have been with me, that is, you've been attending my video till now, you were probably focused, you will be in a position to answer this question now. Okay, so there is also a short answer question, which is, what are the different characteristics of interest? So till now we are finished with this subtopic of nature and characteristics of interest. There are around 9 characteristics. You will be in a position to answer this particular question if you revise this particular subtopic properly. Okay. Next subtopic under the topic interest is, why are we interested in some things and not in others? Why is it that I'm interested in a particular profession but not in some other professions? Why is it that I'm interested in, a particular activity but not in other activities? Why is that? So one explanation for it is your innate or inborn tendencies. You are biologically like that. Since birth, biologically programmed to focus on something, to listen to it more attentively because you are interested in it since birth. We are interested in such things which give satisfaction to our innate desires and urges. Right? Now, these innate desires and urges could be like, there are some students who are very curious by nature. They have a desire of curiosity. They have an urge of curiosity. So they ask a lot of questions. They want to know more about a particular topic. They want to dig deeper in that particular topic. That's their innate desire and urge. Some people, some students are very self-assertive, so they are usually interested in engaging themselves in activities which gives them a platform where they can talk, where they can interact, where they can self-assert, they can put their opinion forward. So that's also an innate desire and urge that they have. Some students, some children are by birth inclined towards art. So that is also an innate desire and urge that they have. So in that case, they are usually interested in, art exhibitions, museums, they're interested in canvas painting, they have a higher aesthetic sense, etc. So this is one major factor. Let's move ahead. instinctive behavior. What happens is, as we keep growing older, this instinctive behavior is changed and it gets converted into sentiments, which in turn brings ideals and purposes in our lives. So till now, when we were children, we were having certain instincts towards a particular activity, towards a particular place, towards a particular subject, or towards a particular object. So we had certain urges and desires towards it till we were children. But now as we're growing older, these instincts are giving birth to sentiments. Now we've started feeling emotionally about them, possibly because we've invested a lot of time, energy, investment in it, right? So there is time, energy that we have put in this particular thing. Therefore, we get more involved in it. Sentiments also start coming. This further brings ideas and purposes in life. Now we have a particular long term goal for us, a particular purpose in life, a particular motive, a particular aim towards which we keep walking. So this is the change which comes when we grow older. Also, our attitudes, temperament, and other personality traits also start influencing our interest patterns. So what kind of attitudes we have towards different things around us happening in our social and political environment, what kind of temperament we possess, what kind of other personality traits that we have. Are we a very, warm kind of a person, open to experiences or not, introvert kind of a person, extrovert kind of a person, a socially agreeable kind of a person? All these things are going to determine our interest patterns. So we start striving for ideals and start achieving something in our life. Now, such striving and new interests are developed or they are acquired by us over a period of time. Therefore, it is not correct to say that interests are purely inborn in nature, or that interests are only inherited characteristics. It's important to understand that it is beyond inborn characteristics or inherited characteristics also. There are a lot of external factors also, environmental conditions also, and time also, which plays a major role in our interests and the changing interests that we have over a period of time. Okay, moving to the next subtopic that we have in this: factors for the development of interest in a child. Now, usually these factors are divided under two major subheadings, which are personal factors, factors that are within you, and factors which are outside you, the environmental factors. So let's look at them one by one. First factor is your physical health and physical development. One example of this could be that there are children, who are very strong, physically very healthy, never get ill, very good when it comes to immunity, etc. Physically also very well developed, have a good height, have a good posture, physique, right? So these children are interested in sports. So because their personal factor is, inclined in their interest, physical health is good, strong, therefore they're interested in sports. So your personal factor, your physique, your physical health is having an impact on the interest in sports and athletics that you have developed over a period of time. Second is mental health and mental development. You are mentally healthy, therefore you want to take an option, a vocational option which requires a lot of mental strength. For example, army, a career out of army. Mentally strong people are needed in army. Now, because you're a mentally strong individual, very high when it comes to resilience, very high when it comes to, enduring pressure, stress, very good when it comes to handling situations which are very tough. Therefore, you have an interest in a particular profession, that is army. Social development. Now, as a person, you are very good when it has, it's something related to social development. You are very good when it comes to connecting with other people. You have very good networking skills, you have a big friend circle, people like to talk to you. Therefore, you're interested in, a profession which is related to interaction, maybe, dealing with clients, right? Maybe HR, maybe, journalism or even mass media. So you can see that what you are as a person, that is having an impact on your interest as well. So these are certain personal factors which are having a direct impact on your area of interest. Age and sex. As you grow older, your interests also keep changing. When you are younger, you are interested in something else, toys, etc. As you grow older, you no longer look at those toys. What are you interested in? Books. Sex. If you are a girl, you are interested in, cooking, etc. If you're a boy, you are interested in, maybe cars, etc. Right? So what you are as a person, your personal factors, that has a direct impact on your interest areas. So these are some of the factors for the development of interest in a child. Let's look at some additional factors. Emotions. For example, hiding flaws in someone you are interested. Let's say you are emotional about a particular person. You have a soft corner for a particular person. What is it that you're going to be doing? Whenever you're going to see that there is a flaw in this particular person, whenever you are going to see or observe that he's committed some mistake, you are going to ignore that. So emotions are having a direct connect with your interests also. Wishes, ideas, motives, goals of life, all these are connected with your interests. Your attitudes, we've already discussed that some time back. Whether you have a positive attitude, a favorable attitude towards a particular person, place, or an ideology, you will also be interested or disinterested in it accordingly. Your pattern of instinctive behavior, we've also touched upon that. Okay, so over here we were discussing the personal factors. Moving next, what are some of the possible environmental factors which can impact your interest? First one is socioeconomic status of the family. So if there is a person who is, uh, born and brought up in the lower rung of the society, that is going to have an impact, a direct impact on his interest areas also. The kind of toys he will be interested in, the kind of activities he will be interested in, they'll be determined on, that he's not from a very sound background. Second is culture as well as a social environment. If he is from a collectivist kind of a culture, his interest will be different. If he is from an individualistic culture, for example, Western countries, they are individualistic in nature, who focus on competition, your own individual goals as compared to collectivist goals. When we talk about India and Asia, we are collectivist societies where we teach brotherhood, where we talk about group working, where we talk about team working, where we talk about group goals as compared to individual goals. So your culture as well as your social environment in which you've been brought up, that also has an impact on whether you will be interested in individual activities or group activities. Third is education and training, where you have been educated, where you have been trained, and what culture and what social environment, to what level, that is also going to determine your interest. Is it a continuous education? In which stream have you taken an education? That is also going to determine your interests, your developing interests subsequently. Fourth is opportunities available for exploring the potential interests. Now, as you grow older, you get a lot of opportunities which you can explore. So when you are young, you don't, explore a lot of opportunities. But as you grow older in higher education classes, there are a lot of seminars which are organized especially for students. There are a lot of workshops which are organized. There are, clubs which are there where you can participate and you can actually contribute. So there are opportunities. You get an opportunity to have be a part of a panel discussion also. So these kind of things actually help you explore the potential interest in which you can make a future. Now there is a short question which is given at the end of the chapter in the exercise, which is, how can you say that environmental forces are responsible for interest? Meaning thereby, is it that only personal factors have an impact on your interest, or is it that something outside you, that's an environment, that can also shape your interests? So if you've gone through this video, you should be able to answer this particular short answer question. Okay. Next subtopic is the various kinds of interests which are there. Types of interests. First is academic interest. So there are some students who are very interested in academics. They're always interested in, studying, and they're always interested in, being in the top 5 in the class. They want to study more. They buy books. They ask teachers a lot of questions. They like discussions about subjects. These are the academic interests that some students possess. There are some students who have professional or occupational interests. There are a lot of professions which are possible, a lot of occupations which a person can opt for. Some people have a lot of professional interests where they want to explore different options. They're always into skill upgradation. So they're always enrolling themselves in different kinds of courses. That is about professional interest, occupation interest. So it's not just this that they have, got a job and it's over. It's about, going deeper in that occupation. It's about understanding more about that occupation, enrolling for different courses in that particular occupation, upgradation of skills, learning maybe, technology, higher level technology, which is going to help in that particular occupation, soft skills, which will help in this particular profession or occupation. So that is about professional or occupation interests. Mechanical interest. Some people, some children have a lot of interest when it comes to machines. So it's usually advised that these children should take up a profession which is, something related to machinery, right? Could be mechanical engineering, etc. Some people have a lot of social and cultural interest, where they're interested in understanding what are the different social factors which have an impact on various things which are happening around them, how culture influences different things happening around them. So this is their major area of interest. So usually it is advised that these people should opt a profession which is, closer to their interest. For example, sociology could be one of the options. Some people have artistic interests. They're interested in painting. They're interested in, interior designing. They're interested in maybe, gardening. This is about artistic interest, and usually it is recommended that they should opt for a profession which, allows them to be with art and nature. These people are usually high when it comes to aesthetic sense or even natural intelligence. Musical interests is another type of interest which a lot of people have. Some people are interested in writing. Very good when it comes to blogging, writing. Literary interests, we call them. Dramatic interest, that is drama, theater. A lot of people are interested in that. So it's usually advised that, they should take up this interest and passion as their profession also. Scientific or inventive interest is another type of interest which a lot of people have. Usually these people go into, engineering, and or could be that, they build up their own laboratory where they are experimenting and trying to create something new. Okay, there is another grouping which is there. This is about intrinsic or natural interest that people possess. And then the second one is extrinsic, that it's outside. Intrinsic is basically from the literal word inside. So extrinsic is the artificial interest that you have. Now, as the name is suggesting, intrinsic is something that is arising within you naturally, right? Here, there isn't any external source, any external push which is there. You are naturally interested or drawn towards something, drawn towards a particular person, drawn towards a particular activity, drawn towards a particular subject, place, object, etc. For example, there are people who are artists. They are interested in their uh, art and related activities. So they come up with artistic work. Scientists, they're always interested in their own experiments and innovations naturally coming to them. Writers, whether they're tired or they're fresh, they're always wanting to write something naturally again coming in them. Or when we talk about extrinsic or artificial interest, there is some kind of external force which is making you feel interested in something. Some kind of maybe incentive that you're getting, some reward, some maybe motive you have, some maybe short-term or long-term goal you have because of which you are currently interested in something. Usually this interest goes away once this goal has been achieved. So we can say in other words that it is temporary interest that you have in something, because once this external push or force or drive ends, your interest in this particular activity or person will also end. Extrinsic interest, as I've already pointed out, is temporary in nature. For example, if there is a fat girl who is interested in early marriage, she may be inclined to engage herself in weight reducing or even yoga exercises. But now, once she's married, she may altogether stop taking interest in these weight reducing activities. She may stop eating healthy. She may stop exercising. Why? Because her goal has been achieved now. So that interest related to weight reducing activities was temporary. Once the goal has been achieved, she stopped showing those uh, weight reducing activities, or she stopped showing that particular interest in them. This is artificial or extrinsic interest. Now, this is a big question. How to make children interested in a particular learning activity? In other words, can we actually increase a child's interest in a particular learning activity? We can, right? The answer is we can. Now, there are a couple of factors which are involved in it. One is the learner himself, how much motivated he is as a learner, how much sincere he is as a learner, his personality characteristics. For example, sincerity. That is going to determine that how much of interest we can actually develop in him when it comes to a particular learning activity. So his own features, his own characteristics, his own temperament, his own sincerity, his learner characteristics are going to have an impact. Learning material. The material which was given by the teacher to learn, how engaging it is. Is it colorful? Is it having big fonts? Usually when there is something which has big fonts, the interest in that particular slide or in that particular PowerPoint gets increased. Is there some kind of audio visual content also which the teacher is showing in the class? That increases the interest. Is the learning material having some kind of crossword puzzles, especially in the classes 1 to 5th standard? So some kind of crossword puzzles maybe at the end, or some kind of light material, for instance, fill up, some kind of cartoons, especially for younger students. So is the learning material interesting enough for the child or not? That is going to have an impact. Learning environment. Is the environment in which the child is learning, is it conducive enough for the child to learn or not? Is it too stressful enough? Is it like, too noisy an environment, too distractive an environment where, the room is actually having a lot of paintings in it, maybe a lot of toys in it? Is the child going to focus on the learning activity, or will he be more interested in playing? So these are something which needs to be kept in mind. Learning methods. What are the methods which are being employed by the teacher, which we refer to as teacher pedagogies? So what kind of methods is she using? Is she changing her methods? Is he changing her methods over a period of time or not? Are they using the same kind of tone? Are they using the same kind of teaching methodologies or not? Are they using flowcharts, etc., so that there is a variation in the teaching style? Are they using only audio aids? Are they using only visual aids? Or are they, combining both of them for better results? So learning methods are going to have an impact. And teacher traits. How sincere a teacher is, how determined a teacher is, so that, he's keen enough that my student should become interested in this particular subject that I'm teaching. So teacher's interest, teacher's sincerity, teacher's determination is also going to have an impact, as in how much a child can be made interested in a particular learning activity. Okay, let's talk about this multidimensional process. How we can go about it, like how we can go on cultivating interest in a child towards a particular learning activity. First and foremost, set proper aims and objectives for the child. It's important for the child to understand that if there is any learning activity that he has been assigned to, if there is any homework he's been assigned to, if there is any assignment that or a project that he has been given, why has he been assigned this? What is the need for this particular project or task? What is the importance of doing it? Now, once the child understands it, the base of it, why am I given this particular assignment, then it's easier for this child to set proper aims and objectives, and he will eventually become interested in it. Second is proper selection and organization of learning experiences, meaning thereby that suitability of the content should be there. For example, there is a child who is aspiring to become maybe, a psychologist in maybe some Western country. And the course that you are teaching him, it is primarily about indigenous psychology, right? Will he be interested in it? No, because you have not properly selected the course for the child. The teacher maybe has not selected the course for the child, the proper course. The parent has not properly selected the course for the child, or the child himself has not selected the course for himself, which is the most apt one. So it's important that the content which is being delivered to the child must be appropriate and in accordance to his desires, his goals. Right? Let's move forward. So continuing with the multidimensional process of creating interest in children, third point is use of appropriate methods and teaching aids. So what a teacher can do is, she can actually take the help of tables. So some tables, some spreadsheets, Google spreadsheets can be used where, the students can actively participate in some kind of activities within class activities. Usually, the teaching method which is adopted by most students, especially when it's an offline class, is just, it's a one-way lecture which is happening. So the teacher is there and she's giving a lecture, that is all. But there isn't any participation from the end of the children. So it's important that appropriate methodology where the students also get a chance to express, get a chance to involve in the subject, in the content, and also get an opportunity to interact with each other. That can help in developing the interest of the child. Teaching aids over here refer to both audio as well as visual aids, using PowerPoint presentations, using some kind of videos, some kind of maybe, short videos, 3-minute, 4-minute, meaningful, relevant video can be screened within the class itself. Fourth is exploitation of various instincts of children, especially the children who are very curious. Ask them questions so that their interest develops more in that particular subject. Some children are high on constructiveness. They want to create knowledge. They want to get their answers themselves. Give them food for thought. Give them questions which they can go back home, they can think, and tomorrow they can come to you and give you an answer. So help them to basically exploit their skills. Some children are very keen when it comes to self-assertion. Let them speak, let them put their opinion, let them put their perspective in front of you, in front of the entire class. So use all these various instincts of children so as to develop interest in them. Fifth is making proper use of sentiments and ideals. So you can create interest in children by moving them towards some kind of sentiments and ideals. For example, brotherhood. In our country, brotherhood is given lot of importance. Civic responsibility, move them towards these idealistic approaches. Sentiments, create in them. Protection of property, environment, civic responsibility and environmental responsibility, very important. Sixth is arranging proper learning situations or creating a proper learning environment. How can that be done? There should be adequate furniture in the class. So if there are benches in the class, adequate benches should be there. If there are chairs in the class, adequate number of chairs should be there in the class. Sitting arrangement, it should be proper. Students, there should be a gap between students. It's not that the students are sitting very close to each other, that they are feeling uncomfortable. They're not getting a proper space to actually keep their stuff or move their hands. Mobility is compromised. That should not be the case. Lighting should be proper. Ventilation should be proper. There should be a proper timetable which is followed. If there is a proper timetable, then it brings a routine. If everything is haphazard, that the student is not aware what class he's going to have tomorrow, then that interest also is not developed the way it should be developed. Then there should be a good, proper general atmosphere, which is a favorable atmosphere. Physical and mental state of the pupils as well as the teachers should be proper, which means that do not overexert the students. If they've already had a very long day, do not take up very lengthy topics with them towards the end of the day. So change your routine accordingly. Group climate, the climate of the class, that is also very important. If there is a lot of groupism in the class where there are few students who feel very uncomfortable with majority of the students, then that also is a hindrance. In that case, students will not be interested. Those few students will not be interested in listening to what is actually being delivered as a lecture in the class. They will be in their own discomfort state. So first of all, attend to all these kind of issues and then make them listen to what you're trying to teach them. Okay, next point is teacher's personality and determination level. It's very important that the teacher which is teaching to you should have a pleasing personality, should have a pleasant personality, at the same time should have a very warm personality where the teacher is welcoming in nature, welcoming when it comes to, questions. He shouldn't be somebody that, if you ask him questions and he says, why did you ask me this question? Or go back home and seek an answer yourself. He should also be determined to teach. He should be serious about the subject, about his students. He should be honest when it comes to his subject, and teaching should be sincere, must be knowledgeable, and should be a trustworthy individual, so that there can be a connection between the students and the teacher. If this connection is there, it's very easy to make the students interest develop in a particular subject. And if that connection is missing, it becomes all the more difficult. Okay. Next is relationship between interest and attention. So is there any relationship between interest and attention? Yes or no? So let's look at them. Attention and interest, they are actually interconnected and they're mutually dependent on each other. If you are interested in something, you will naturally attend to it, and vice versa. They are like two sides of a coin. They complement each other. So I have taken up this particular definition with you earlier also, which is given by McDougall. I'll repeat it. Interest is latent attention, and attention is interest in action, meaning thereby that it is the interest which determines one's attention, and interest is always hidden in the act of attention. Hidden, when we talk about latent attention, we are trying to say that interest is always hidden in the act of attention. If you're attending to something, then we are in a very hidden manner, we are interested in it. That is why we are putting efforts and we are attending to it. Attention is a selective act of mind. Selective act of mind, meaning thereby that there is a lot of stimulus around us every single point of time. What we attend, when we attend, how we attend is something that we select. It's something which is based upon our mind's decision that I will attend to this particular stimulus and not to something else. Right? In the selection, it is natural that the mind should select those objects in which she is interested. Okay, it's important to understand that interest is not activity. Interest is actually a tendency or a mental structure which supplies sufficient motivating power to our actions, that is, to our motor activity. Interest is sometimes innate, it is sometimes acquired. We've already discussed that. For example, individuals of different sexes, different genders, they are naturally interested in each other. Interest can be natural, interest can be artificial. We've already discussed that. But when we say that individuals of different genders are naturally, they are interested in each other, that's something which is natural. That's something which is innate in nature, usually. When we say that herbivorous animals are interested in grass, while the carnivorous, they are interested in meat. Again, this is a natural interest that these animals possess. When we say that lion is interested in goat, while the goat is interested in green leaves because it is herbivorous in nature, this is again because they are naturally like that. This is not an artificial interest, it's an innate interest. Acquired interest, on the other hand, for example, the scientist is interested in the instruments of his laboratory. He is interested, but somebody else who is a layman, he is not interested. This is an acquired interest. This particular student who is now a scientist has acquired this interest in this particular subject of science and has therefore developed a laboratory and is inventing new things. Individuals develop different interests based upon their disposition, based upon their personality, based upon things that they have attended to in their life, based upon their economic factors, which means how financially strong they are. Have they been able to afford particular courses, education, books, resources, etc. or not? Interest is also dependent upon social and political status of people. The acquired interests, we have discussed it. It depends upon experience. It comes with experience. It's also important to understand that interest has a direct link with emotions and desires. I had given you an example previously also that if you are interested, let's say, in a particular individual, you are also emotionally involved in that particular person. If you're interested in a particular subject, you're also emotionally connected to that particular subject. If you're interested, let's say, in a sports competition, you're also emotional about it. So when you win, you express happiness. When you lose, you express frustration and disappointment. So interest is also linked with emotions and your desires. Temporary need evokes only temporary interest. Uh, a need which is, not going to last for long. It may lead to some kind of interest in you, maybe a very strong interest or maybe a relatively less stronger interest. But this interest developed will be temporary in nature. We had taken this example of a fat girl who wants to reduce her weight. Why? Because she's interested in getting married. Why? Because of that, she's also interested in weight reducing activities. But the moment she gets married, she stops all that because her goal has been achieved. So she's no longer interested in those weight reducing kind of activities. Another example is, if a man has to cross a river, he will be very much interested in the boat, which will help him cross the river. But once he's crossed the river, his interest in this particular object will also come to an end. So this implies that temporary need evokes only temporary interest. According to Drever, interest is a disposition in its dynamic aspect. Over here, the word dynamic is very important. Your interest keeps changing over a period of time. They keep evolving, modifying with time as you are maturing as a person, as your needs keep changing, as your motives keep changing, as your environmental factors keep changing over a period of time, your social condition, your cultural condition, etc. Attention and interest in education. So, what are some of the possible suggestions or strategies which can make the teaching learning process interesting? First is, the child has certain, we've already discussed that, child has certain natural and innate urges. He has certain number of drives, he has certain instincts in him. So because of that, he will be either asking a lot of questions in the class, or he has a drive to learn, he has a drive to connect with other people. What can you do in this case if he has a drive to connect with other people or socialize? Give him a group assignment where teamwork is possible, where cooperation is possible, where he gets an opportunity to interact with other people. Let's say there is a child who has an urge to ask questions. Give him a platform where he can openly, confidently ask you anything that comes in his mind. If he has some confusion, he can put across to you and you can solve it for him. If there is a child who has a urge to, work alone, give him a task which allows him to work independently. So in order to create interest in the teaching learning process, to make it more interesting, understand the various urges, drives, and instincts of the children in the class. There's some children who are gifted children. These are children, who always need something so that, they can keep themselves busy. In that scenario, give them a lot of homework, give them a lot of assignments. Gifted children can finish their homework very easily. As compared to average children, they can do it very quickly. So give them extra work. Give them some extra assignments where, they can keep themselves engaged and also at the same time channelize the energy in a proper manner. Dig deeper into the subject. So you'll have to understand and cater to the needs of all the students in your class. Now, in the exercise which was given at the end of the chapter, there is a long question. How are the instinctive drives helpful? So this particular slide is actually catering to this particular question. You can go through it. Next is the child's interest changes at various stages of development. When a child is actually so small that he is an infant, he is interested in imaginative plays where there is a pretend play happening, where he says that, I will pretend that I'm a doctor, you pretend that you are a patient, and then I will treat you. So in infancy, interest is basically in pretend plays, imaginative plays, and in related similar activities. In childhood, which means as the infant grows older, that is the next stage of development, there becomes interest in group activities, teamwork, We will together be in a one team. You might have heard it. Children start saying that we will be in one team, you be in the other team. Let's see how well we do. We will defeat you. So that kind of team spirit starts coming during childhood. In adolescence, it changes. It's more about love and adventure. It's more about thrill seeking. So engage them in something, give them activities, which satisfied their thrill seeking behavior. Suitable subject matter based upon the stage of development that a particular person is should be given. And what is going to happen eventually, that children will learn and gain adequately, right? So it's important that if you're teaching an infant, try and engage him in interesting activities. If you're teaching a child, try and engage them in group projects, group work, group assignments. If it's an adolescent, somewhere try and bring an element of love, thrill seeking, adventure, etc. Third, now this is similar to the point that I've already discussed with you. Methods of teaching should be adopted according to the physical conditions as well as the natural interests of students. Now, when there are nursery and kindergarten students, teachers should organize imaginative plays. Cartoon should be there, everywhere on the walls. Painting should be there. Cartoon paintings could be cartoon carvings, some kind of posters, cartoon pictures, etc. can be pasted on the walls, on the screens, on the windows, and there should be enough toys in the room for students to explore. In the primary stage, focus should be more on stories. Teacher storytelling to the students, students storytelling to the entire class. Give them an opportunity to interact with other students in the class. Give them an opportunity where they can explore each other and be in some kind of group activity. That will be helpful. So this is based upon their natural interest as they're growing older. Fourth point, now this is something very important. Subject matter must be moderately difficult. Now what happens is, if the topic is very difficult for the basic understanding of the student, it's going to go above the head. So he is not going to develop an interest in that particular topic or that particular subject. If it is going to be very easy, then he is going to find it very boring, that it's very simple. I already know that. Why should I be attending to it? So it's important that it should be within the range of understanding of the students, should be moderately difficult. Neither too easy for the student, neither too difficult for the student, but totally appropriate as per his standard, as per the class that he is into and the age that he is in. Fifth is, goals and objectives should be made clear to students. It's important for the students to understand that why are we being taught this particular topic in this particular course? What is the importance of it? What are we actually going to benefit from it? So once you make that clear to the student, interest will subsequently develop. Imparting new knowledge on the basis of old knowledge and experience. That's very important. Try and bring up some connection between the knowledge that you have already imparted to the students and the knowledge that now you are presently imparting to the students. When you bring up some connection between these two, and when the students get an opportunity to draw a connection between these two, establish a connection between these two, that's somewhere, gives them food for thought, makes them active and attentive in the class. Love and affection to the subject and to students. So this is from the perspective of the teacher. It's important that the teacher who is teaching must have love and affection not only to the subject that he or she is teaching, but at the same time must have to the students also that he is teaching, irrespective of which caste, which color, which creed, which race, which gender they are from. Important to introduce novelty and a variety of approaches. Some approaches may work for only girls, some approaches may work only for boys. Some approaches may work for only for one section of the students, some approaches may not work for another section of students. So keep changing these approaches that you have. Use novel methods. That's important. Element of novelty usually allows interest in the student for a particular subject. Moving next, adequate use of audio visual aids must be there in the teaching learning process. You might have heard this term that there are some students who are visual learners. They cannot understand concepts till they actually see something written on the board, or something written on the PowerPoint, or something to actually feel. There are some students who are tactile learners. When you make them touch something, some object, some model, only then they understand a particular concept. There are some students who understand it better by listening to the teacher rather than looking at it, while there are some students who are a mix of all of these: audio visual, audio visual tactile, or visual tactile. So it can be any of the combination. So use all of these aids in your teaching learning process. There are a lot of applications also which can be used to sustain a child's interest in the class. For example, there is one video making application which is referred to as Edpuzzle. So a recorded video can be made for the children, especially when it's an online teaching which is happening. Edpuzzle allows you to add some questions between the video itself. So the video will not continue till the student answers those particular questions. Once he's answered it, only then he can watch the remaining video. So that means it's a very engaging kind of application. Flippity. Now this can be used within the class. Flippity is one application. It's an online application where the names of students of the entire class is written on a flipping kind of wheel, and you tap on it and the wheel keeps rotating. The moment you tap on it again, the wheel stops on the name of a particular student in the class. And then you can ask that student any question that you want to. What happens is, this makes all the students very interested and attentive in the class. Now they always know that, once this flippity is being played in the class, we may be asked some kind of question, or we may be asked what we have learned in the class. So it's important that we attend to it and we listen to what ma'am is saying in a very interesting fashion. Third, which can be used as whiteboard. Now, a lot of applications have this facility of whiteboard where you can allow students to doodle something, whatever is coming in their mind, pent out their emotions in the last 2-3 minutes of the class, especially in the online classes. And they can doodle, anything which is related to the topic or what they are feeling at that point of time. Okay, so there is a long question which was given at the end of the chapter, which is question number 8. It says, how can attitude and interest be inseparable in education? So this particular video, if you watched it properly, you should be in a position to answer this long question. Apart from what all has been discussed, you can include certain more points, such as positive attitude towards teacher eventually develops interest in learning. So if there is a child who has positive attitude towards teacher, he has positive attitudes towards the process of learning. He has positive attitudes towards school, positive attitudes towards saving his time, saving his parents' money. He has positive attitude towards discipline and routine, and becoming and achieving something in life. Then this attitude eventually develops some kind of interest in the students. So apart from all the other points that I've already discussed with you, you can include these pointers as well when answering your questions. That brings us to the end of this topic, that is interest, in chapter number 7.